You are watching In Our Community, and I'm Jenny Lynn Gleave, your host. And tonight, I have the privilege of interviewing two artists. One is a painter, and one is a photographer, and they are Gregory and Angie Burns. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Gregory.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you. Angie, welcome.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear about your fascinating travels and your art and all the great experiences and stories you have to share with us. I'm going to start with you, Greg. You're a painter. When did you start painting?
When I was 5, I started to do my own comic strips, and then I started to do painting, still lifes, and kind of playing with art. But I had art teachers, and then I also always got good grades in art, so that would help my GPA. So if I got an A in art and a C in science, that was a B.
And that's how long ago you started?
Yeah, long time.
Good. We want to hear about all the great things you've done. Now, Angie, you are from Singapore.
Yes, I'm from Singapore.
At what age did you start taking pictures?
Oh, actually, in 2006, when we were traveling, and Greg handed me his Nikon camera, and that's where I actually started taking pictures, because at times he would go to paint on location, and I would just take the camera and go to the back street of the local area and just documenting all the areas with my camera.
Did you always like that, or did you just do it because you had the time and the camera?
Well, I always loved art. It's because my father, he's an artist himself.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
when I was, a year old, we actually sailed from Sabah, which I was born, from there in a junk to Singapore. That was in the early 70s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there we actually, my family sort of settled, and I grew up there.
So Greg is an American and you're from Singapore. How did you two meet?
We met on the beach in Singapore.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, and if I could actually, Angie said 206, but actually it was 1996 when we met, and I gave her the camera, and she started taking pictures in 96. So.
Oh, 96.
But that's when we met in Singapore on the beach. She was a windsurfer in a bikini, so.
Well, we get the picture.
Yeah.
So let's connect the dots. You're an American and you met her in Singapore. You're an American artist. You met her in Singapore. What were you doing in Singapore?
Well, if I could back up till 1984. I was living in California, and I applied to the Peace Corps, and I applied to San Jose State to go to Taiwan to study Chinese arts. So I got accepted into both, and then I had to decide between the Peace Corps in Marrakesh, Morocco, or painting in Taiwan. And I took the painting in Taiwan. And so I followed my heart, went to Taiwan in '84 for a one-year program.
Yes.
Thought I'd be back here in 1985, but in '85 I decided to backpack around Asia for 16 months, and then went back to Taiwan and just have lived in Asia ever since. So I left there 30 years ago and had never really moved back.
Wow. What is it that makes you love it there so much?
Yeah, I've been asked that a lot. I don't know if I love it there. It's become part of me, I think. What I think I like about it is there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of, you can just do things. Things change a lot faster there than here, I think. And I like that flexibility. And plus, like if I live in Singapore, or I lived in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore, each for 5, 10, 15 years.
Okay.
And from there, any of those cities, you can fly to Laos, Cambodia, Burma, China, Indonesia, Thailand in 2 hours. So you can see a lot, do a lot in a small area. So it's a lot of culture. There's a lot of different languages, different foods, different architectural imagery. So it's just a smorgasbord of imagery and cultures.
So we're going to get to your art, but I'm just trying to get a little background on you guys so the viewers can find out who Gregory and Angie are. Angie,
Yes.
how did you like living in America?
I loved it. It's really different in terms of, first of all, the weather. It's great weather here compared to Singapore. Where,
Really?
Yeah, it's very humid. I mean, throughout the year, it's tropical climate. And here, we always come back the end of the year, so the weather is really comfortable, dry, and really pleasant. So and also we have a lot to do here. We can go to the national parks, and there's just so much to do, you know, outdoor sports.
What's the longest period of time you've ever spent here?
6 months.
Oh, have you ever been here for winter?
Yeah, we did. We do.
Okay.
You know, we often come back towards the end, and we often travel to ski in Tahoe and various places.
So the winter doesn't bother you?
No, I love the winter actually, because I know that I'll be here for, like, you know, just for that month.
Yes.
So I'm okay. Yeah, love it.
Good.
Yeah.
So now that we got a little picture of where you're from, how you met, tell me about your art.
Okay.
Did you bring any with you?
Actually, we did, but I have to tell you a story first.
Okay,
if it's
tell me
okay.
the story.
The quick story about Angie okay, so she came from Singapore, which is a hot place all year round, and so she came the first time she came here, and she's a windsurfer. So I took her windsurfing at San Gregorio.
Okay.
Davenport.
Or Davenport. Sorry, Davenport. Yeah. So, you know, she got borrowed a wetsuit, put on the wetsuit, went out windsurfing, went out, fell down, got up, fell down, came back. She was blue. She was so cold, but I think from then till that was 1996. So from then till now, she's acclimated. But I'd have to say, in her first times in America, it was a bit colder than she was used to, especially the water, the ocean.
I can relate to that. I'm from South America, where it's tropical. Exactly the same thing. When I first came, thought I'd never survive. Okay, so now let's hear about your art.
Okay. Well, let's see. I'm a painter. Angie's photographer, and so I started, as you know, when I was 5. But my painting has changed. It keeps changing. I think that's important. I think, you know, you go from. I've gone from realistic to abstract, and now I'm back somewhere in the middle, semi-abstract. So my work is painterly abstraction. I call myself an abstract impressionist, or something along those lines. And I do a lot of collage work. So that's my stuff. And then Angie's a great photographer, and I've always looked at her work and thought, God, these are great photos, and how could I collage maybe her photos into my painting? So I started to do that. I collaged her photos and maps and ticket stubs and things you find, and so that became mixed media. And then about 5 years ago, we decided to collaborate, and I think we have some pictures that we've worked on together. So what these pictures show is that's a mixed media. So we would start with Angie's photo underneath.
Okay.
And maybe we could run those images.
Okay.
So there's some pictures where she does the painting. She does the photo first. Then we collage that with. I'm not seeing the images. Are they?
Okay. Are you ready for the images? Okay. We can get our crew to start running those images.
Run the images.
Yeah.
So it's a process where we work together.
Okay.
We choose the images, and then we start. I overlay paint over them, and we do it with layers. So basically, I think if these are the images we're seeing now, so you can see some collaged images together, and then you see paint over them.
Oh.
So it's really mixed media. So it's instead of it's really the two of us together doing what we do best.
Okay, so while we wait on them to bring up the images, where do you sell your art?
Well, I have galleries in Shanghai, Beijing, Chengdu, Singapore, Bali.
Wow.
Yeah, and California, Hawaii. Yeah, I've had about 12 galleries around the world. But as my mom used to say, that and a nickel will get you a cup of coffee. So, you know, just because you're in a gallery doesn't necessarily mean that you're always selling a lot. So, as any artist will tell you. So, but we do our own exhibitions. So we've been doing our own exhibitions for 20 years. So we've done about 40 solos and about 6 joint shows in all sorts of countries, all sorts of places, in 17 different countries actually.
Wow.
So from the Maldives through China, Indonesia, Thailand, Japan, America, Singapore, where else? Thailand.
Mostly in Asia.
Mostly in Asia.
Yeah.
So if you've been painting since you were 5, you must have a lot of art.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I seem to collect a lot. I don't throw too much of it away, but yeah, I have a collection in California, a collection in Singapore, and a collection in Shanghai.
Oh, wonderful.
Because I spent a lot of time in China painting. For whatever reason, I think it's because I'm being poisoned constantly. But in China, I paint really, really well.
You're being poisoned. You're poison resistant.
Yeah, I've developed that. Yeah, I've developed this kind of hardened exterior to the because if you eat, drink, or breathe in China, you're actually probably not doing yourself a big favor. So,
I see.
But having said that, then I feel very inspired in China to paint. So I've been painting there seriously since 2007.
So you have a website where people can go and look at all of your art?
My website is just www.gregoryburnsmyname.com.
Okay.
And Angie's website is angeart, ANGARTS.com. So you can see her photos there and my paintings there. But we have a blog too, which is GB Greg Burns, Angie Tan, AT Journey. So gbatjourney.blogspot.com.
That's great. I'm going to make sure I check those out. So are you guys ready to tell me about your artwork? I guess we can ask the crew to start bringing it up for us now.
Oh, it's already shown.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I guess we're not going to get to see it, but it's showing. So tell me, which was your most, I'm sure all of your work is inspired by some emotion, but which one of the paintings that you have done or piece of art that you have done, you look back because something inside of you really made this one the painting? Is there such a piece?
That's a good question.
And if there is, why?
I think part of making great art is it happens, I don't want to say by chance, but it can't be orchestrated.
Right.
The way I paint is, I often say I go without knowing. So I start something and it evolves. And so that's how my work is. I don't have any menu, I don't have any rule book. It just, I have a starting point and I have an idea or emotion or feeling that I start with, and then it evolves, it morphs and it changes. And sometimes it changes into something great and I stop. And sometimes it changes into something great or something good and I keep going and I change it. And so it's like a cycle. And so I think every painting kind of has a life of its own. And so it gets to a point where I think it's probably done. And if you stop, you're lucky and you put it away. But I often just keep going and I ruin it and I start again and I ruin it and I start. So that's kind of what happens. So I think every once in a while I stop at the right time. And that's not always easy to know when it's really done, because you might be painting and you might have this feeling and emotion and you just keep going. It's like you're like a football player or a swimmer and you want to finish the race, but actually, halfway through the last lap, you were actually done and you could have stopped, but you carried on. And so I think sometimes that's what happens. So, but emotions, I think that I have painted with is the power of the human spirit, or the feeling of athletics, because I was a competitive swimmer. I was in the Paralympics 3 times and competed all over the world. Yeah. So that sports has always been a big part of my heart and my art.
So on average, how long does a piece take you?
Yeah, that's a very good question. A certain amount of time and 50 years. I know that's a nebulous answer, but some of the best paintings I've done have taken me less than an hour. Some of the paintings I've done have taken me weeks or months. So I don't think it's a matter of time. It's not like crocheting. The more you crochet, the bigger the scarf, or the better maybe. So with painting, I think it is if you're centered, if you're focused, if you've got the right, if your chi or your energy, everything is in tune with the universe, with your idea of God or whatever you think that to be, then you can do stuff like that. And it's not a matter of time. You've sharpened your blade for 50 years, so you hope that it can cut something. So.
Right. So Angie, which piece of his art is your favorite and why?
I like actually not a piece, but a series that he did, which is called the Traveling and Arriving series. That particular series I love is because it really, I could feel it when I look at this painting. If you look at it, it's very tranquil, very relaxed. I mean, at that time, I don't know, maybe I needed that, and that's why that drawn to me. That whole series I really liked. So in particular one, no, because every time he paints something, it might be something that I like as well. So only that series that I'm really, very dear to me. in that sense. And I think that was also one of his turning point of his career for that series.
Okay.
Yeah, in 1999, his
Yeah.
MFA work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Do you have any empty spots on the wall in your home?
We have the ceiling.
Yeah, that's left.
Yeah.
But I'm sure walking around your house is just so much to see. And I've known a few friends that are artists, and they literally have covered the wall with their art. Is that what it's like when you walk into your place?
Yeah,
Yes.
and then there's also wall, under the bed and in the closets and rolled up in the corners. There's a lot of art. Yeah. Then there's always the garage, Then you're really opening up the doors. Yeah.
Well, I write poetry, and sometimes in the middle of the night, something will come to me, and I'll wake up and sketch it. Does that work the same way with art?
Sure. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
In the middle of the night, something just pops into your head.
Yeah.
Do you get up and go grab the canvas?
I have, but more it's. I think for me, painting kind of is. There's a ritual to it.
Yes.
So I go to the studio or I go to my canvas and I kind of prepare myself, whether that's through meditating or breathing or listening to music or mixing my paints. I learned something from Chinese calligraphy that's I use it in my painting. So in Chinese calligraphy, you traditionally used to grind your ink.
Right.
You'd grind your ink for 10, 20 minutes. The longer you grind it, the darker, stronger it gets. So I have that kind of ritual because I think that also sets you up. It sets up
Right.
your ink, but it sets your energy and your focus. So I do that now with my paint. So I mix red, purple, and or whatever colors, and I mix them and I mix them and I mix them. So instead of grinding my ink, I'm mixing my paints. And so that's one of the rituals I do to get ready to paint, and then all bets are off.
That's amazing. I wish I could have seen a piece of it. Just to get an idea of what you do, but I will make sure I check it out after.
I mean, this is a book of ours called Painted Journey. We published it in 2005.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of works there. Actually, the one on the cover I painted in Woodside at my friend Randy's house.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm very affected by the environment I'm in. Like I was saying, China is, but
Right.
also in Woodside, it's a beautiful, with hawks and deer and squirrels running around. So there's a whole different environment that affects the paintings.
And how do you compare the art you paint here to the art you paint in Asia? Is there any difference?
I think, as Angie said, one thing we do in America, we get a lot. It's about nature. There's a lot of nature. So I do a lot of. I don't mean landscapes per se, but more nature. Whereas in Asia, I do a lot of architectural imagery. So I go to temples and pagodas and old buildings around all over China, India, Nepal, Pakistan, wherever, and I paint a lot of that. So it's more architectural than natural.
Have you ever done portraits?
I have.
You have?
Yeah, I have.
That's really interesting.
I was in India. I was backpacking around India, and this Sikh asked me to do his portrait, so I did. And I sketched for about 20 minutes, and I thought it was pretty good. And then I gave it to him, and he looked. He said, "Oh, very nice," and he gave me 2 rupees. So, yeah, so I kind of quit doing portraits after that. Yeah.
That's a cute
It was
story.
It was good. I thought I kept it. I mean, he didn't want it, so
You didn't want it?
no.
Ah, well.
I think I didn't make his bunion, his thing the right size or something. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I thought it was quite good. But
Is that the only portrait you did, or have you done
no,
others?
I do nudes also. I've always said if a woman will take her clothes off, I'll paint her. So,
Any volunteers?
but anyway, I do. So but that's my portraits. I do the female figure a lot.
Yes.
At least I used to, not so much anymore. But I've done Angie quite a lot.
At the beginning.
That's really cute. So Angie, I mean, this is such a great marriage.
Yes.
You two are married in love and you're married in art.
Yes.
So there's got you guys that probably have a lot more to do, right? We haven't seen you just scratch the surface.
Yes, we do. That there is. It's amazing that we both are artists. Sometimes we do get head on at times, and especially our opinions in certain things in art, especially when we're collaborating. But it's a good. I would say exchange.
A good union.
Yeah, a union too. So we learn a lot from each other, and we fight a lot as well. But
Whose art do you think is better? Not trying to start any fights. That was just meant to be funny. So tell us some more about you. Said you were also an Olympic swimmer.
A Paralympic swimmer, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I started competing at De Anza, in fact.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I started, this is going to date me, but 1977 I moved to California and lived down the street and trained at De Anza College and started competing in the Paralympics then. And so I had a 27-year career. I swam all over the world. I was in 3 Paralympics. I set 5 world records in swimming. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. You're a very impressive person. What motivates you?
That's a good question. I think I just like to use what I have and try to make the best of what I have. So I whether it's painting or sports. So those are the 2 things that have gone through my life. Like I worked in companies. I worked for a little-known multinational called KFC, in doing corporate communications. I worked in Star TV in China, in Hong Kong and China. I lived on a boat sailing, doing television documentaries for like a year from Tahiti to China. So I've had a lot of different jobs, and I've enjoyed all those jobs. But all the time, whatever I was doing professionally, I was always painting, and I was always staying fit or competing. So those, like the sports and the communications, so mobility and art have always been a big factors in my life. So I've always kept them going for 50 years, and it's like I don't know anything else. Ask me about physics, forget it. There's nothing, no idea about physics. But art and sports, I can hold my own.
I can relate. Because I'm I enjoy the arts much more than academics. I'm all about creating. And I know what it's like when you can do what you love. It's amazing what you will do, what you can do with that.
Yeah.
What about you, Angie? Is this your passion as well, the photography, or do you have other things that you enjoy as well?
Yeah, photography came later. I mean, myself, I was interested in fashion as well, and I was trained in graphic design, and I loved that as well. But I didn't want to stay in front of the computer and work all day. So I'm an outdoor person, so I like to be outside. So photography is kind of like a good compromise for what I wanted to do in terms of creating, and I can be outside and still can create. So yeah, it's all been in me, I think, because of my background. My father, he was an art teacher and he was an artist, and I grew up with the art supplies and paints and smell of oil paint at home, and that's why, as a result, I love playing with paints and enjoying going to exhibition because at a very early age. So I think it's in me in a way, and I can feel it, and I always love that. When I have a chance to create, I'm very happy. So that's really something that I love to do. Yeah.
Also cooking.
Cooking, yeah. Well,
you're a good cook.
She's a great cook. So my sports is her cooking.
Aha.
Yeah, she's
it's like
a great
painting
cook.
for me. Cooking is like
That's
painting.
Awesome. Yeah. So did you speak English in school?
Yes.
Oh, you did, because your English is very good.
Thank you.
So that is offered on the curriculum in the Singapore
yes,
schools.
Yes, it is. It's a must. And of course, I spoke Mandarin at home when I grew up. So that's my, I would say I'm very comfortable with that language. And English, yes, I got better when I know Greg, and I think I improved a lot.
I bet. Your English is it's remarkable. So what are your goals for the future?
You looking at me?
Yeah.
Our goals for the future.
With your art?
Yeah. That's a good question, and I wish I had a good answer for you, but I don't really.
Just kind of going with the flow.
I think that's one way to put it. The other is, I guess there's a matter of trust in something like this endeavor. We're not building a building. We're not starting a company. We're creating art, and creating art is not as I said, there's no rule books, and so I'd like my work someday to be in the Museum of Modern Art. That would be great. That's a kind of a goal I have. But how do you make that happen? Besides, a friend told me, he said, well, why don't we just sneak one of your paintings in, and when no one's looking, we'll just nail it to the wall and run out. So I thought that's one way, and I never thought about that. But that would be one way to get my painting in the museum. Yeah.
Hey, the point is to get it there, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how.
Well, no, that's where I disagree. No, it has to come the right way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I have a friend who made a CD. I went into the CD store and left a whole bunch of them in there. So it's been done. So when you put your art at an exhibition, do people normally gravitate to one particular piece? Do you see a lot of people going over to this one painting? Has it ever happened? Because all of your art, I'm sure, is amazing. But for some reason, some things draw some people. And I was wondering if you ever had that experience with any of your art.
Actually, I think I could say that about certain series. So in '97, I went to Yunnan, China, and I painted a whole bunch of Chinese buildings.
Right.
And that whole exhibition sold out. And then the next exhibition, or not the next, but some exhibition later was this mixed media. I was experimenting more, and it wasn't realistic. It was more abstract, and it was more a little conceptual. That didn't sell out, and in fact, hardly sold anything. So I think what happens is I work in series of works. So I think some series are more popular than others, if you will, and that's just the nature of the way things go. And sometimes I think I get it right. I have to get it right for me, and at the same time, it may be right for you and the audience. But you know, I don't paint for the audience, and that's the good thing about being. We're not creating artworks to sell. We're creating artworks, and then we sometimes sell them. That's true, but we're not painting or photographing for a market. We're not trying to create something that we know would sell. Because if I wanted to do that, I would go back, I'd pick all the series that were very marketable and sell, and I would just repeat those. And,
okay.
But that's, you know, if you do that, I think you're doing yourself a disservice, because you're not. I think we have to constantly reinvent ourselves, and if you're going to reinvent yourself, that means doing new things and charting new courses and going into new territory. And
right.
if you're repeating yourself, that's the antithesis of that. So.
I agree. So we're almost out of time. I'm going to ask you both this question that I ask everyone. Is there something you want to leave with the viewers before we say goodbye?
If the viewers would like to see our work, and on October 1st, we're having an opening in Los Gatos at the Iwasawa Gallery in 75 University Avenue in Los Gatos, 5 to 7 o'clock. And the exhibition will be up from October 1st to the 25th of October this year. And we'll be there on the 1st if anybody would like to come and say hi. But they could also see us online and check our websites and anything else. And
That's good.
you want to say hi to your mom?
Well, this was such a pleasure. I've really enjoyed learning about you and hearing your fascinating stories, and I can't wait to go look at some of your art. So thank you so much for taking the time and coming and sharing your expertise and all of the wonderful adventures with us.
Thank
you so much, and thank you for watching in our community. See you next time.